History isn't just a sequence of dates etched in time. It's a tapestry woven from human triumph, profound tragedy, and the relentless pursuit of the unknown. We stand on the edge of the present, looking back into the past, seeking patterns in the chaos. Today, we stop the clock to examine a single day, December 14th. On this day, across centuries, humanity has touched the freezing extremes of our planet, unlocked the microscopic secrets of the universe, bid farewell to titans of liberty, and left our final footprints on a celestial neighbor. From the silent, white hell of Antarctica to the candlelit halls of 18th century Virginia. From the bloody snow of St. Petersburg to the vacuum of the lunar surface. Join me as we unravel the profound events that occurred on this day in history. The year is 1911. The location is the bottom of the world, a place of desolation, so absolute it feels divorced from the earth itself. For millennia, the South Pole remained an enigma, guarded by the fiercest winds and cruelest temperatures. It was the ultimate prize of the heroic age of Antarctic exploration. On December 14, 1911, that silence was broken not by the howling wind, but by the triumph of Norwegian determination. Roald Amundsen, a man whose pragmatism was as cold as the ice he traversed, achieved the impossible. While his British rival, Robert Falcon Scott, was struggling through a tragic ordeal of ponies and motorized sledges that would ultimately lead to his doom, Amundsen moved with the efficiency of a predator. Using skis and sled dogs, embracing the wisdom of the Inuit rather than fighting against nature, Amundsen and his 4 companions arrived at 90 degrees south. They named their camp Polheim, home of the pole. There was no fanfare, no cheering crowds, only the unending white oblivion. Amundsen wrote in his diary with characteristic understatement, "So we arrived, and were able to plant our flag at the geographical South Pole." This moment wasn't just a victory of exploration. It was a testament to preparation over hubris. On this day, humanity proved that even the most inhospitable corners of our reality could be tamed, not by brute force, but by respect for the elements. While Amundsen conquered the physical world 11 years prior, on December 14, 1900, a German physicist was inadvertently shattering our understanding of reality itself. In Berlin, before the German Physical Society, Max Planck presented a paper that would birth the strangest and most successful theory in the history of science, quantum mechanics. At the time, physics was in crisis. The classical laws of Newton couldn't explain how black bodies radiated energy. It was termed the ultraviolet catastrophe. To solve this, Planck did something desperate. He introduced a radical mathematical trick. He proposed that energy did not flow in a continuous stream, like water, but in discrete, tiny packets. He called these packets quanta. Planck himself didn't initially believe in the physical reality of his discovery. He thought it was merely a mathematical convenience. Yet, on this day, he pulled back the curtain on the subatomic world. He revealed a universe that is not smooth and predictable, but granular and probabilistic. This was the day the classical universe died, and the modern world, the world of lasers, transistors, and the digital age was conceived. On December 14th, humanity learned that at the deepest level of existence, reality is pixelated. Let us turn the wheel of time back further to 1799, to the banks of the Potomac River in Virginia. Here lies George Washington, the American Cincinnatus, the man who refused a crown to build a republic. On December 14th, the first president of the United States breathed his last. His death was a grim reflection of the medical ignorance of the era. 2 days prior, he had been riding his estate in sleet and snow, contracting a severe throat infection. As his throat closed, restricting his breath, his physicians attempted to save him with the standard practice of the time, bloodletting. They drained nearly 40% of his blood volume, weakening him further in a futile attempt to balance his humors. Despite the agony of suffocation, Washington met his end with the stoic dignity that defined his life. He checked his own pulse and simply said, "'Tis well." The death of Washington on this day marked the end of the 18th century's most pivotal chapter. The world lost a figure who proved that power could be voluntarily relinquished. In his passing, he became more than a man. He became a marble ideal, leaving a legacy that would grapple with its own imperfections for centuries to come. Fast forward to 1825. The setting is the Imperial Majesty of St. Petersburg, Russia. December 14th. The air is biting cold, and the tension is brittle enough to snap. Following the death of Tsar Alexander I, a confusion over succession created a vacuum of power. A group of aristocratic officers, infected by the liberal ideas of the Enlightenment during the Napoleonic Wars, saw a fleeting chance to transform the autocracy of Russia. They were known as the Decembrists. 3,000 soldiers gathered in Senate Square, refusing to swear allegiance to the new Tsar, Nicholas I. They chanted for Constantine and a constitution. But idealism rarely survives a collision with artillery. As the winter sun began to set, Nicholas I, fearing the collapse of his empire, ordered the cannons to fire. Grapeshot tore through the ranks of the rebels. The white snow of the square was stained crimson. The revolt was crushed within hours. The leaders were hanged or exiled to the freezing wastes of Siberia. However, December 14, 1825, planted a seed. The Decembrist revolt became the founding myth of the Russian revolutionary tradition. The frozen blood of that day would eventually thaw into the torrent that swept away the Romanov dynasty nearly a century later. It was a day of failed hope, but enduring consequence. Finally, we look to the heavens. December 14, 1972. 56 years after Amundsen conquered the South Pole, humanity was preparing to leave a place far more desolate. Apollo 17 Commander Eugene Cernan stood in the Taurus Littrow Valley of the Moon. This was the end of the Apollo program, the end of the golden age of space travel. Cernan and his pilot, Harrison Schmitt, had spent 3 days exploring the lunar surface. As Cernan prepared to climb the ladder of the lunar module Challenger, he paused to carve his daughter as initials into the regolith dust that will remain undisturbed for millions of years. Cernan spoke the final words spoken by a human on the moon to this day. We leave as we came, and, God willing, as we shall return, with peace and hope for all mankind. On December 14th, the door to the cosmos was, for a time, gently closed. We retreated to low Earth orbit, leaving behind our machinery and our dreams in the silent vacuum. It is a date that reminds us of our potential for greatness and the melancholy of an era ending. December 14th, a day of endings and beginnings. On this single calendar day, we see the full spectrum of the human experience. We see the physical endurance to reach the poles, the intellectual brilliance to decode the atom, the biological fragility of our greatest leaders, the political courage to defy tyrants, and the technological mastery to touch the stars. History is not static. It is a river that flows through us. The events of this day, the quantum mechanics in your phone, the geopolitical maps we draw, the spirit of exploration, they are the echoes of December 14th, vibrating through our present lives. Thank you for journeying through time with me. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments, which of these events do you think had the greatest impact on our world today? Until next time, remember, the past is never dead. It's not even past.